We are getting more right now, so I will wait for a few seconds more to let some more people in. And I have to say, of course, good morning, good afternoon, good night, because I know we have people from all around the world. And in our case, it's like in Brazil, it's 7 a.m. I've heard in Vietnam, it's already 5 p.m. So great, actually. And I will now try the settings, first of all, and share my screen. And I hope that everything will work. So let me quickly check that. So hopefully everyone can see my screen now, because I would like to give a short introduction together with my colleague Karen Sudmeier, LIEU from UNEP, and Jorge Leon from University of Sao Paulo on our session on nature-based solutions in science, policy, and practice, filling the post-2015 development agenda with action. And in our session, we will have 4 presenters, and after a very short 5 minutes introduction, we will start with oral presentations of 8 to 10 minutes. After the presentations, we have like 2 minutes questions, so that means very short questions. And we have invited, and we are very proud to have here Marie Ikemoto. She is from Brazil, from INEA, which is the Environment State Institute of Rio de Janeiro. Afterwards, we hope to see James Kungu, because he did not show up so far, but we know that he will come soon, hopefully. He's from Kenya, from Kenyatta University. The third presenter is Anil Podatz. He is from Budapest, from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics. So that means we move from Brazil to Kenya, and then to Europe, to Budapest, to Hungary. And then finally, we have a presentation by Trang Van Sang. And the names, of course, the Vietnamese names are very difficult for me to pronounce. He will talk about mangrove restoration in Vietnam. Afterwards, we will have a wrap up and some closing questions, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time will be left. And now I would like to hand over first to Karen to give a very brief introduction to the concept of nature-based solutions and our Words into Action document.
All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon to colleagues from around the world. I'm very happy to be part of the team of moderators for the session. In terms of an overview, and we just lost your slide, Udo, for some reason. In terms of an overview and background into nature-based solutions for disaster risk reduction. As we know, as the world is dealing with increasing numbers of disasters, including COVID, our COVID pandemic, the role of nature-based solutions is becoming increasingly important worldwide in terms of linking not only our health, but our security to nature. So at the global level, many of you are familiar with the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction from 2015 to 2030, which includes ecosystems as part of its overall framework. However, when it comes to taking these words and putting them into action, this is where many governments are having difficulties, and where us as UNEP, I'm part of the Disasters and Conflicts Program in Geneva. We're trying to help member states, but also for you as academics and as practitioners, it's important to know that this document, Words into Action on Nature-Based Solutions, has been under public review and will be launched this summer, and provides a good template in terms of practical ideas on how to assist member states in taking the words and putting them into action. We have a template that can be used for including this topic into national DRR strategies. And you may be called to help your governments in bringing them closer to implementation. Please be aware of the Partnership for Environment and Disaster Risk Reduction. And I'm not sure if we have the website listed there, but you can find more information on our website, which is pedrr.org. I can put that in the chat. And there you can find lots of materials, several documents, master's courses that we've worked on together with Udo and his colleagues from the University of TH Cologne. You'll find also this conceptual framework, which we find extremely useful, that our partners have brainstormed and put together that shows the linkages between nature-based solutions as the goal for sustainable development and as it links to disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation and mitigation. So I won't talk much more than that, other than to say that there are lots of resources out there that our group has put together. And we currently have a massive open online course on this topic with over 10,000 participants that you can join, that is open to all, and also that you could have your students join. So I'll add a little bit of information on that in the chat. I think that's basically what you wanted me to cover, Udo, correct? And
absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Answer any questions if needed. Thanks, over to you.
Yes, and I saw that Jorge already put in our chat. So he said that you can post your questions, of course, in the chat. Afterwards, we will collect them and then, of course, hopefully give some very good answers. And that means when I say we, all of the presenters, of course, if you raise a question which is specifically for one presenter, then please say that goes to Marie, for example, or it goes to Anil. Okay, I would now stop the screen sharing and kindly ask Marie to share your screen and start with your presentation.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Udo?
Yes, we can see your presentation. Thanks a lot.
Okay. And hi, good morning, everyone. And I am Maria Ikemoto from Environment State Institute of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And nowadays in Brazil, decision makers still lack practical methods and tools that analyze how NBS interventions could be effective for mitigating water security risks based on the local context. So we present a conceptual and analytical framework for assessing raw water security based on NBS for public water supply system. This framework was developed as a part of my doctoral thesis at the State University of Rio de Janeiro. The analytical framework was developed and applied to the case of Guapi-Macacu River Basin that is responsible for the public water supply of more than 2 people for Eastern Metropolitan Region of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. A literature review on NBS and water security was carried out to define principles and guidelines for action and to build the analytic model based on water security and NBS assessment methodologies. The analytical framework was formulated based on the public policy cycle, adopting a simplified global assessment of all stages. A simplified analysis of these public policies aims to outline general recommendations for improvement and to generate sub-sites to identify and recommend in-depth evaluation of specific stages or components. And we used the techniques of bibliographic research, document analysis, semi-structured interviews, and participant observation. The first stage, agenda setting, involved the analysis of the legal basis, actors, and instance of governance related to water security and NBS policies in Guapi-Macacu River Basin. The second stage, evaluation of raw water security level, involves the integrated analysis of 2 components. The first component is the assessment of water security level of raw water determined by the probability of occurrence of stressors and the severity of the impact on the quantity and quality of raw water and the management actions to prevent, mitigate, or control these impacts as nature-based solutions. The second component is the assessment of the vulnerability of water supply system in relation to the raw water quality and quantity. I won't have enough time to explain the methodology in details, but it's important to highlight that results are important for the 30 stage and to integrate NBS and water security assessment approaches. The 30 stage involves a simplified analysis that aims to verify if the NBS in fact constitute a relevant alternative to mitigate the main stressors that promote water security risks. For each of the stressors analyzed on stage 2, is then verified whether NBS actions can contribute to minimize the impacts. For example, the result of the qualitative assessment in Guapi-Macacu River Basin pointed out the need for urgent management actions to reduce the risk of the stressors in red and in yellow, unacceptable and tolerable risks. And it was found that NBS constitute a relevant alternative to reduce water security risks. And the only stressor that is not directly related to NBS is the demand for water, the use of water for public supply in the case study. There may be situations that the NBS are not feasible or that many barriers to its adoption. So the fourth stage, the analytical framework for the applicability of NBS for a specific watershed, was designed based on specific literature review to identify and select the factors that are critical for the implementation, consolidation, or expansion of NBS. It considers biophysical, social, economical, institutional, and governance factors. I won't have time to present the whole framework, but here's an example for one factor, the watershed size, with the description of the analysis questions and positive or negative implications for adoption of NBS by literature review. And the same applies for all the criteria presented on the side. And the biophysical, social, and economic characteristics of the Guapi-Macacu River Basin were very favorable for the implementation of this strategy. But the study highlighted that advances are still needed to strengthen institutional capacities, financing mechanisms, and to raise awareness and communicate the concept of NBS. The fifth stage, the evaluation of existing NBS initiatives, identifies and evaluates the initiatives in order to understand their trajectory of conception, implementation, and results achieved. We analyzed the compatibility of proposed NBS framework and understand the extent to which they contribute to water security, proposing recommendations for improvement. And with the exception of conservation measures, almost 55% of watershed area are protected. And it can be said that the scale of other NBS interventions as ecological restoration and best agriculture practice in Macacu River Basin are still very limited. And the proposed conceptual and analytical framework proved to be useful and generated contributions. But for future research, the apply of the expert panel or Delphi method can improve and validate the conceptual and analytical framework. And if you want to know more about the study, here is my contact email. So thank you very much.
Maria, thanks a lot for that very nice presentation, also for keeping the time perfectly. Thanks a lot for that. I don't see any questions right now in the chat, but probably there is also this tool to raise the hand, and I can see maybe in the audience who has got any questions to Marie. If there are any questions, then I would ask you to raise your hand or to put it into the chat. Yes, I see Lars. So I have to give you, Lars, I think, broadcast permission. Let me see if that works. Does that work? Lars, can you hear me? Can you talk?
Yeah, it's the first time I'm using it, so it worked, I think. You know?
Yes, great. Yes, for me also the first time. It works. We can hear you very well.
Yeah, thank you very much for the nice presentation. We met a couple of years ago. It's a long time ago, I think. So congratulations for advancing so much now in your PhD and really interesting research. For sure, we should be in contact after this. But a question is to select then a probable nature-based solution. Of course, we should think about the potential effect of it. And this is the same question I also asked yesterday in the chat, you know, when we talked with Zita, where we need to have some proof that certain measures are effective, you know, and I think Udo also is very aware of this in the same region, you know, with the past research, you know, that we are really looking for certain evidence that a certain measure is effective, hopefully reducing the loads to raw water, as you say correctly, you know? But do you have any comment on that? So do you see a clear suggestion for an intervention that could reduce a certain pollutant in a significant way, in a proven way, let's say, where you can say scientific evidence is there that, let's say, turbidity, sediment loads, nitrogen compounds, whatever, is significantly reduced by a given NBS?
And yes, thanks for the question.
We can exchange later.
Of course, Lars. And well, the lack of previous definitions of monitoring indicators, goals, and the impact of policy and each initiative of NBS that I have analyzed, it was not possible to evaluate the impact of the real impact of these interventions. So the monitoring of ecosystem services is very important, and for this case, and possible the cost of the degradation of loss of ecosystems or the benefits provided by ecological restoration remain unknown. And therefore are still not accounted for. So the study pointed out that it is very important to monitor indicators and to define goals for water security and for NBS, impact and effectiveness.
Thanks a lot, Marie. So that was just one question, and I hope that we have, in the end of the session, a bit more time to further discuss, and also, of course, get in contact with Lars to discuss a bit more about the watershed, which serves actually the water for 2.5 million people in the metropolitan area of Rio. So it's a very important watershed, actually. So I would now like to welcome our second presenter, with this James Kungu. James, can you hear us? Can you unmute your microphone? James? James, we cannot hear you. Yes, now, very good.
Yeah, the only thing is that I don't see how I can be able to share my slide.
On the left-hand side, you have a share screening icon where you can screen where it says screen share. Yes? On the left-hand side.
Unfortunately, I can't see anything like that.
Okay.
This is Alina from Tech Support. Can I help?
Yes.
Can you see the sidebar on the left-hand side? And there you should be able to see 3 little dots, and there is this little symbol with the screen and the arrow. And once you click that, you can there's a pop-up window, and you can choose to share your whole screen. And we recommend to share the whole screen instead of just a window or an application.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. We can see the screen now. Now you just have to select the window with the presentation.
Okay, let me see. Okay.
Yes. Oh, we see a beautiful island. Now we see.
Okay. So you can be able to.
Yes,
now we
very
see
good.
We just need presentation mode.
Yes, now we move to the Rift Valley. Thanks a lot, James. Please stay in time, 8 to 10 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Udo. Let me say that this is just a write-up, a desktop write-up that we have done with Beth. And we are looking at the potential of nature-based solution in controlling current flooding of the Great Rift Valley lakes in Kenya. And what we have been noticing over the years is that in our country, there has been a lot of land use changes. And these land use changes, we are having forested areas being converted to non-forested areas. And our hypothesis is that this may be contributing to the current flooding that we are witnessing in the Rift Valley lakes. And let me say that currently, we are seeing a lot of high water levels rising in our Rift Valley lakes, where they have flooded and they have led to destruction of properties and displacement of communities. And especially, we have Lake Barigo and also Lake Naivasha, but also this has been seen in Lake Turkana, in Lake Bogoria. I can say almost all our Rift Valley lakes. And what I can say is that there are many lakes along the length of African Rift Valley. And these lakes, this valley runs all the way from the Red Sea in the north and all the way to Mozambique in the south. And Kenya Eastern Rift Valley has a string of about 8 lakes. And these lakes, they provide diverse habitats that ranges from the freshwater lake like Lake Naivasha and Barigo to the semi-saline lake, or Lake Turkana, the Sunny Akran Lake of Magandi, Erementaita, Nakuru, and Bogoria, and now also Transient Lake, we call it Rogipi. And what we have noticed, when you look at the satellite, images, we are seeing, especially the lake that I'm talking so much about, is this Lake Bogoria. If you look at year 2013 and you look at the satellite images, you'll be able to see this was the size of the lake by that time. But over by 1st May last year, you can be able to see that the lake has really increased. But if you look right inside the lake, what you see is that there is a lot of sedimentation. All this is sedimentation. And we are thinking that the main cause of this Rift Valley lakes rising is the sedimentation over these lakes, which could be as a result of the destruction of the catchment areas. And what has happened now is that we are having the tourist lodges, the safari lodges, that are now being submerged in the water. And with the submersion of these lodges, then we are having so many people that are losing their source of livelihood. We are having even schools that has totally been submerged in those areas. You can see like this is a school, and the school, they have to remove the roof, and then the school has to relocate to other areas. And therefore, we're having many communities that are now suffering a lot as a result of this flooding of these Rift Valley lakes. Yeah, these are still pictures showing the destruction or the submersion of this, the tourist hotels allowed the lakes, and and this is causing a lot of economic challenges to the people involved. And one of the biggest challenges that we are also having is that next to some of these lakes, they are freshwater lakes, others are saline water lakes. And this one is showing the picture. You can see this is one of the lake, we call it Lake Bogoria, and a saline lake. And what you can see, these are flamingos. And flamingos, we know they survive in areas which have alkaline water. But with the level of the lakes rising, there is a fear that the water of Lake Bogoria and Lake Baringo, they are going to join very soon, going to destroy a whole ecosystem. And as I mentioned, is that we are thinking that the main cause of the flooding of this lake is the destruction of the catchment areas, especially what we call Mau forest ecosystem. And this Mau forest ecosystem is one of the biggest forest ecosystem in Kenya. And it happened that most of this lake, whether it is Lake Turkana, the one you can see on the north that is bordering with Ethiopia, and these are the small lakes that I'm talking about. They're somewhere here. This is Lake Baringo, we have Lake Bogoria, we have Lake Naivasha, all these lakes, they're here. And we realize that all of them, the rivers originate from the Mau forest ecosystem. And Mau forest ecosystem is a very big ecosystem covering about 4,000 kilometers square. And the land use change, like from 1990 to year 2000, we had a change of almost 8%. And this has continued increasing, where we are losing a lot of forest cover. And with the loss of the forest cover, we are seeing that the forest is losing its capacity as a store for water. It is losing its capacity as a regulator of river flows. Also, it is losing its capacity for flood mitigation, having problem with the recharge of groundwater, and then we have also losing its capacity for controlling soil erosion and siltation, water purification, conservation of biodiversity, and microclimate regulation. And we are saying that this one has continued. And why it is happening is because there has been irregular and ill-planned settlement. There is also uncontrolled and illegal forest resource extraction. And a big chunk of this forest ecosystem has already been converted into agricultural production. And therefore, when we look at the nature-based solution that we are saying can be able to solve the problems that we are having in this lake, we are saying that the forest and tree cover, if we can be able to reforest the area, it will be able to prevent land degradation and desertification by one, stabilizing the soil, also reducing water and wind erosion, and maintaining water and nutrient cycling in the soil. We also say it can be able to help to contribute to poverty reduction and also making the rural poor less vulnerable to the impact of the land degradation and desertification. This is because the loss of vegetation through deforestation and the resultant land degradation and desertification cause not only biodiversity loss, but also contribute to climate change by reducing carbon sequestration. So in a nutshell, that is what we are saying, that for us to be able to solve this problem, yes, some of the geologists, they have also seen that the flooding, there is also an element of tectonic movement in the Rift Valley, and that one also causing the aspect of the flooding. But we are saying siltation, as we can be able to see the increase in siltation in this lake is the main cause of the flooding of our Great Rift Valley lakes, and nature-based solution, they hold a solution to solving the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James, for that insights into the connections of, let's say, land and ecosystem degradation causes a problem of siltation and then increases flood events. We have maybe time for one question only, because we are not running out of time, but we're a bit behind the schedule. Is there any questions related to that nice presentation from James? If not, I don't see any so far. Let's give it some seconds more. If not, I would kindly ask James to stop the screen sharing.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I have already stopped, or you can see it.
We can still see it.
Oh my, let me see. Okay,
there should be a bar which says stop screen sharing.
And
the item above.
Yeah, it's okay, it's okay. Is it okay now?
We can still see your presentation, I guess.
You can still see the
item above. I think it will leave. Yeah.
I don't see anything else now. What I can do? You can still see my screen.
Yes, you're still in PowerPoint. You have to go to
preview what you are. Oh,
please,
no.
Maybe you have to go to the, but I'm not sure if you have the presentation still in your PowerPoint or in the.
Yeah, it was in PowerPoint and I had already stopped. Huh? You can still see it.
Yes. This is Selina from Tech Support again. Can you try to click on the little screen symbol in the left sidebar with the green dot next to it?
Yes.
Yes. Now it worked pretty well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So I would then kindly ask Anil to upload his presentation. And now we are moving actually from Brazil over Kenya to Europe, to Central Europe, to Hungary. And Anil, does it work with your screen sharing? Yes, it does work. And now we talk about nature-based solutions in the context of cities, and particularly in the context of European cities. So the floor is yours, Anil.
Thank you, Udo. I am Anil Poyraz from Budapest University of Technology and Economics. I'm a PhD student. And I will talk about our study, which is dedicated to sustainability-oriented evaluation of nature-based solutions in European cities. First, I will talk about cities, NBS, and sustainability. Cities have benefited from being in the proximity of water for centuries. Humans prefer settling around water for various reasons, but mainly economic reasons. But this leads us to a paradox, and this paradox comes from the willingness to be close to water, but at the same time to avoid the trade-offs and side effects. Nature-based solutions can be considered as an adaptation approach towards sustainable urban development, which challenges this paradox. NBS is an integrated perspective to address various challenges. The European Union's research and innovation policy suggests a research focus on multi-beneficiality of NBS, such as biodiversity and ecosystem services for innovation, as well as growth and job creation. Eclipse report on NBS assessment suggests a greater attention needs to be paid to the interlinkage between the NBS impacts on different sustainability aspects, and this will be the main question. This is the main question in this study. And this investigation requires interdisciplinary work with multiple indicators and qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method techniques. Sustainability co-benefits assessment of NBS projects on various databases can be achieved through utilization of some characteristics, which can be through some indicators, such as the 10 challenges suggested in Eclipse report. Those challenges is considered as a contribution to climate resilience in urban areas, whereas each of them, some of them actually, are likely to tackle more specific issues. And in this study, we used nature-based Naturevation Atlas, and it is a convenient and useful platform to extract various information such as objectives, key challenges, and cost for 1,000 applied or planned NBS projects from Europe. And we picked 6 challenges. Sorry, it is written 8 there. I am sorry about it. It is 6. It should be 6. We picked 6 challenges out of 12, and we associated to 3 dimensions of sustainability. And as you see, green space, environmental quality, those are associated with environmental sustainability aspect. Health and well-being and social justice for social sustainability, and economic development, decent employment and sustainable consumption and production for economic sustainability. And we sought possible correlations between the expected benefits and the 2 projects features investigated, which are type of initiators and costs. First, here we see an overview of the addressed challenges and sustainability aspects, and we see that in the selected 80 selected projects, the floods are the overwhelmingly the dominant hazard which is concerned in the projects, but we see also pollution and erosion as a concern in the projects. Regarding the implementations, there is a variety of implementations, but mostly they are aiming to restore the existent natural assets, but there are also some concerning water management through storage or sustainable urban drainage. I would like to give some more information about the project selection. We picked 80 projects from this 1,000 projects with some criteria, such as water management and coastal resilience criteria as a key challenge, and also clear objectives, and also intervention to water related hazards. Now we see overview of the addressed sustainability aspects, and there are 76 projects in 80 projects, which is likely to contribute environmental sustainability, and more than half of the projects are also able to contribute to social sustainability, social dimension of sustainability. However, economic projects benefiting economic sustainability is only 17, which is less than a quarter of the selected projects. And the pie charts indicates the percentage of the projects based on how many sustainability aspects they are addressing. 50% of the selected projects are concerned with 2 aspects, while 31% of them with only 1. 15% is addressing, 15% of the projects are addressing 3 aspects of sustainability, while 4% of the selected projects are not addressing explicitly any sustainability aspects, considering the criteria and the association we introduced. Regarding correlations between addressed sustainability aspects with other elements, here we see the type of initiating organizations. Local governments and municipalities participate in more than 70% of the projects concerning environmental sustainability. Social and economic follow this with percentage around 60 and 50. National and regional governments' participation is similar in terms of percentage of participation and their ranking. The percentage of an EU body participation is quite small in the projects addressing social and environmental sustainability. On the other hand, around 20% of the projects contributing economic sustainability involve an European Union body as an initiator. The other initiator types, other than governmental bodies, we can say that NGO and civil society is another significant initiator regarding the projects with economic concerns. Almost 30% of the 17 projects involve civil society as an initiator. The ranking of the participation percentage is interesting when we look at private sector. The top is social sustainability and economic and environmental follow behind. It's interesting to see that private sector is involving in projects with social benefits. On the other hand, researchers, university, and public sector institutions such as hospital and school are not an initiator in any project with economic benefits. Now we will see some analysis, some assessment regarding the relation between costs and sustainability aspects in the selected NBS projects. While more than half of the projects cost more than 4 million, there is only 6% which cost less than 50,000 euros. This figure allows us to see the relation between the project costs and their multi-beneficiality. There are a couple of projects costing less than 100,000 euros and benefiting environment and social aspects of sustainability. However, projects with an economic dimension starts within 100 and 500,000 project cost range. Besides, most of the projects in 500,000 2 million euros range benefiting environment and social dimensions of sustainability altogether. The projects with 2 or more sustainability aspects are mostly above 4 million, but this is not surprising when we think about the previous slides. Conclusions we can draw thanks to this assessment. First, I want to mention that the novelty of this assessment comes from the grouping of certain challenges under one of the 3 pillars of sustainability. Regarding the multi-beneficiality, the addressed aspects, the environmental aspect of sustainability is the most concerned aspect in the selected MBS projects. More than half of the projects are serving social benefits. But we see a lack of objectives that can contribute to economic sustainability. Regarding the correlations, local government, municipality, regional government, EU body, and NGO civil society participation is likely to bring economic benefits. And last but not least, I want to mentioned that multi-beneficiality is a key to achieve post-2015 challenge, 2015 agenda. However, it requires more money in the case of MBS projects concerning water-related hazards in their objectives. But this is not a drawback. A robust analysis revealing economic returns owing to various benefits can help embracing this concept and involving in its implementations. Thanks for listening, and the floor is yours for the questions.
Yes, thanks a lot for that nice presentation, very comprehensive. Some interesting outcomes actually, also between the... James, can you kindly switch or turn off your microphone, please? Oh, I can turn that otherwise. So that should work. Are there any questions from the audience? We have maybe time for one question.
I see one question on chat.
Yes, please. Then, yes, I see it from Christina. Yes, very good.
Institutional aspects.
So I'm not sure if everyone can see the question, but I'm sure. Thank you for the presentation. A question: did institutional aspects also be included? That is the question from Christina.
I mean, in terms of benefiting institutional sustainability, if that's the question, no. We focused on 3 pillars of sustainability, because actually there is also info in Naturation Atlas in the identified key challenge of the projects. You can draw conclusions about institutional sustainability, but we didn't assess that part.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Anil. I hope we have some time left in the very end. But now I kindly ask the fourth presenter, which is now Sang Trang Van. I cannot pronounce. I will never learn this Vietnamese pronunciation. Sorry for that. And we move to Vietnam. So kindly share your screen now.
Okay.
That hopefully works. And then we should get a presentation from the mangroves in Vietnam and some background noises from the urban area in Hanoi.
Yeah.
The share screen button.
Yeah. Can you see my presentation?
We can see your screen, not yet the presentation. Yep.
Okay.
Very good. Thanks. That works.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I will introduce myself. My full name is Chan Sang. You can call me Sang. Now I'm working at the Institute of Ecology and Works Protection. Belong to Vietnam Academy for Water Resources in Hanoi, Vietnam. Today I would like to talk about mangrove restorations. Mangrove talks about mangroves restoration in response to climate change. The case study in Baguio province, Vietnam. The contents of my presentation divided into 5 parts in these figures. Firstly, I will move to introductions. In Baguio province is situated in Mekong Delta regions of southern parts of Vietnam. Mangroves in Baguio play a very important role for the aquatic species, protecting and sediment systems, preventing storm, contributing security livelihoods for local people, and also maintain biodiversity. You can see here is the map of Vietnam, and here is the Baguio province. Here is the Baguio province, and here is the full map of Baguio province. However, recently, the negative impacts of climate change and sea level rise has badly affected to the coastal mangroves. You can see in this figure a lot of mangrove areas eroded by highway energies. It is necessary to restore mangrove belt in degraded areas. This study presents research on selection of solutions and suitable conditions for mangrove restoration in coastal areas in Baguio province. In my presentation, aims two objectives. Firstly, is to understand the status of soil change in Baguio province, and secondly is to propose solutions to improve effectiveness of mangrove restoration in response to climate change. Now I will move to section 3. My study using some methods. Firstly, we use remote sensing and GIS methods. Then we design experimental plots, and in this case, we use bamboo fence and seedling production. And finally, we collect data and analysis, and finally, we propose some solution for mangrove restorations. For the remote sensing and GIS methods, we use images of Landsat 4 to 5 GM and Landsat 7 and Landsat 8 of the Baguio coastline between 2000 and 2020 was obtained and transferred to NP and Axis software and further analysis. And this designed soil was obsolete to identify the soil change. And the soil change, including areas of erosion and aggregation zones, measure and analyze to understand the soil change. For the IS and GIS methods, we use 4 steps. Firstly, we collect satellite images during the last 20 years. And step 2, we classify land cover and coastal area. Then we mapping soil change. And finally, we analyze erosion area and aggregation analysis. Here is images of process for soil change in Baguio province. And after analyze soil change, we design experimental plots. We select two sites. Firstly, we select continuous erosion areas for design experimental plots. Secondly, we design regular composition areas located at the Donghai district. You can see in the blue color. Then we design the structures of permeable dams. In this case, we use bamboo fence to reduce highway energies. You can see in this figure here is the design of the bamboo fence with 3 rows and three rows of bamboo pole. We push one chop or one cheese inside bamboo fence. You can see in this figure, and here is the picture of bamboo fence to reduce highway in the field. After built permeable dams with planting mangroves at the field, with the species is Abyssinia maria. And we use three takes to keep seedling with the density at about 3,300 trees per hectare, and with the method single species. Now we move to the result of my study. You know, in Baguio province, the soil is about 56 kilometers. With the result of the analyzed satellite images, we divide shoreline in Baguio province into three parts. Firstly is continuous erosion areas at about 26 kilometers, and in the intercalation area is about 11 kilometers, and regular compensation areas at 9 kilometers. You can see in this map here we classify the shoreline in Baguio province, which the red color is continuous erosion area. After mapping shoreline change, we calculate net change. The results show that during from 2015 to 2020, the net change is highest, and this shows that shoreline in Baguio province tend to erosions and increase with monitor and monitors seedling survivals. After 10 months, we collect data. The survival rate continuous erosion survival rate of the seedling at about very low, at about 3%, compared to the regular compensation areas. The survival rate at about 22%. You can see in this figure is the seedling after 12 months at the regular compensation areas. The mangrove seedling grow very well. Here is some photos we've taken at the fields at the seedling of survival at the regular compensation area after 12 months. You can see here's Abyssinia margins at the field. For the part 3, we propose some solution to improve effectiveness of mangroves restoration. For the achievement 1, we propose selection of suitable species in Baguio province. We propose Abyssinia marina is suitable to planting, and then to build nursery if necessary. To make good quality seedling in others erosion areas with propose seedling at least 12 months old, and also select of the site condition is very important to make sure successful of the mangrove restoration project, and finally tending and protecting at least 4 years after planting. And also for the achievement tools, we propose building permeable dam. In this case, we propose bamboo fan is suitable to reduce highway energies before planting mangroves at the compensation. However, at the continuous erosion areas, we propose building breakwaters dam combined with permeable dams, bamboo fence before planting mangroves is necessary. You can see in this figure, here is the breakwaters by woods, with proposed by woods or concrete, and then inside planting mangrove combined with bamboo fence, and finally is temporary dike. Now I will move to the conclusions. The quagmire of Baguio province tends to erode quickly in the last 20 years. Quagmire is divided into 3 main areas: continuous erosion areas, and intercalation areas, and regular compensation areas. Using permeable dams, especially bamboo fence, planting mangroves has effectively improved the conditions of the intercalation and regular compensation areas. Appropriate selection of mangrove species, planting seasons, and seedling standards and permeable dams are proposed to enhance the success rate of mangrove restoration projects in the study areas. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting
presentation.
Yep, I think we're running a bit out of time. Therefore, I would kindly ask to come directly to the wrap up. I think it was a very nice presentation and gave us also some practical insights. So I think I have to turn the audio off. So now it should work better. It gave us also some practical insights into how we can use bamboo fences in mangrove restoration project. Very interesting. So I would like to hand over now to Karen for the wrap up. And I saw also there are some questions left, but we are running out of time. So a quick wrap up, please. Karen.
Great. Well, thank you, colleagues, for all the four really interesting presentations. I noticed some common points, right? There was a rich diversity of presentations for addressing water security, from water security in Brazil to land degradation in Kenya, and flooding, to analyzing sustainable aspects of nature-based solution projects. I think it was from Hungary, the colleague there, and then mangrove restoration and protocols in Vietnam. So this just shows the need for stronger assessment tools, especially with regards to co-benefits of nature-based solutions, need for more solid indicators for nature-based solution measures, restoration protocols, and greater visibility of co-benefits. There was a question on that, which was quite interesting, and especially economic co-benefits. So all of these learnings are extremely important as we move from words into action on how to bring nature-based solutions really to implementation. So I think with that, thank you to all participants, and hand back to you, Udo, for wrap up. Thank you.
Yes, I think we made it within 1 hour, even though we had to hurry up a lot because of some technical difficulties. I thank all the presenters. I hope we can stay in contact. And particularly for the last case study, I would also kindly ask you, it would be so perfect to use that for a lecture. So maybe we can stay in contact for that as well. And I also thank the audience, even though I thought we had some more time for questions, but please contact directly our presenters if you have further questions. Thanks a lot. Also in the name of Karen and of Jorge, who was so nice to do also the behind actually the wrap up for us to summarize some of the questions, which we'll then send to the organizers of the whole conference. Thanks a lot to all of you.